Hi everyone, and welcome to Cooking with Cricket. This is my first cooking video since my surgery. And y'all see my beautiful apron? Standing on my tiptoes. That my best friend Alan got me. See, ain't it pretty? I didn't want to get it dirty, but Alan would want me to wear it and use it all the time. So I'll be wearing it and using it all the time. I love it. This is awesome. My favorite colors and everything. But for my first cooking video, I thought it appropriate, since I make candles and wax melts and all for a living, that I'd make a candle cake. And so I'm going to try it. I'm going to be using my homemade marshmallow fondant. I have a recipe on my channel. I'll link that below. I'm going to be using my homemade buttercream, which I'll link that video below. And my homemade confetti cake that I'm going to make in a sheet pan, and I have that recipe too. So I'm not going to show all those recipes. I'll just show when I get the cake done and start to assemble it all together. But and I'm also going to use, to make it light, these got these at the Dollar Tree, these little LED little candle tea lights that are battery operated. So we're going to see how that works. I'm going to link Alan's channel in the comments, in the description box too. Please go visit his channel. You will love it. He has some awesome recipes, and he visits the most awesome places that I would love to go visit with him one day. It is awesome. But look, I love my apron. This is the best, because I do wear aprons all the time. So let's get started. Alright, my sheet cake is done and it's cooling. I'm going to let it cool in the pan for a few minutes, then I'm going to flip it out and let it finish cooling. And I have me a pastry cutter. It's about, I would say around 3 inches in diameter. And I'm going to use the smooth edge, not the ruffled edge. And then I have me some cardboard pieces that I cut out to set the cake on. And then this little candle, it burns red. Oh, it's changing colors. Well, I've never seen a candle change to green. I'm gonna see if I can change that. If not, it'll still be pretty. I probably should have read the labels. So on the frosting, you're not gonna need a lot of frosting. You just need some to hold each layer together, and we'll talk more on that. So if you just want to use a can frosting, that's fine. And you need like poured fondant to make it look like where the wax is melting, but I'm not going to make all that. So with my buttercream that I'm going to make, I'm just going to thin a little bit of it out, and I'll show you that later too, to pour over. Alright, I have my buttercream made, and I was flavoring it with my French vanilla coffee creamer. But like I say, even if you just want to use a store-bought cake, that would be fine. I really want it to be, usually homemade cakes are a little bit more, I guess, dense, and they're a little bit more sturdy. And so what I'm going to do, I have a lot of buttercream here, but remember, I'm going to be making several of these candle cakes. So I'm going to go ahead and pull some out, and we'll get the cake frosted. And then I'm going to put just a little bit back and thin some of it out to make the frosting where it looks like the wax is melting. And I took my cardboard round and just covered it up with some foil. And let me get this done, and I'll be back. Now I'm going to store my leftover buttercream in the airtight container in the refrigerator. It'll keep for about a week or 2 weeks. And I'm going to see, this should be enough to do the cake. And what I thin out to make for the dripping wax, when I make my other ones, I'll just pour some out of that container and do it. I won't save that. Now, with your fondant, and I make my own, because fondant is expensive at the store. If you have some real small cookie cutters and want to cut out designs on it to place on your finished candle, go ahead and do that now so it can be getting setting out and getting hard. But I'm not going to do that. I have a lot of Christmas sprinkles that I'm going to try to be using. So anyway, so we don't waste, there's not a lot of wasted cake. I'm going to go right to the end and start cutting out my circles. And you can use any size cutter that you want. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut it all out, and the leftover pieces that I have I'm going to wrap real good in plastic wrap and then put in an airtight bag and go ahead and freeze it. And then when I get ready to make that candle cake, I can just set the cake out and let it thaw, and it won't take it long at all to thaw. See, these are more, homemade cake is more like dense. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. And see, it fits perfect on our little cake round. So let me finish getting these cut out, and then I'll be back when we get ready to frost it. Okay, when I got down close to the end of the cake, I switched and got a smaller cutter so I can make me a thinner candle. Now I'm going to put just a little bit of frosting on the board just so that it sticks good. And now if you want to use like a jam or jelly to go in between the layers, that would be great. Just don't put a lot. You just really want a thin layer because it's really just to hold it together. And those that know me know I'm going to have a hard time with just putting a thin layer because I love frosting. And remember, try to stack it up as even as possible. I think I decided I'm going to use 5 pieces of cake. And then I was able to cut out 5 more pieces from the same size. And then when I switched, I was able to cut out 5 pieces of the smaller size. So I can make 3 candles. Now I'm putting on my last piece, so I need to measure my candle. And if you had a smaller cookie cutter, you could use that to go ahead and cut out that piece, but I'm just going to take a small knife and cut that out. There, that should fit in there very nicely. And then we're going to finish this off. Stick that on. And now right down the center I'm going to insert a straw. That will help keep it sturdy. Go all the way through to the bottom. And snip it off. Now we're just going to put a thin layer on the outside. Like do a crumb coat. So let me get this crumb coated and then I'll be back. Okay, as you see, it's not the greatest job of icing, but we're just crumb coating it. You kind of want it to be as smooth as you can get it because next we'll be doing our fondant. So as soon as I get this done, I'm going to stick this in the freezer for at least 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. And then while we have it in the freezer, I'll come back and we'll roll out our fondant. See how messy and fun this is? The only thing about it, I don't know how you're going to get your candle. Like, you won't be able to take your candle in and out of your cake. So I would suggest, if you want to make it to take somewhere, go ahead and have your cake and your frosting and all ready. And then just the day before you go, just put it together, because once you turn your candle on, of course, it's going to need to stay on. Okay, yep, one of my layers was a little bit wonky, or one-sided. So anyway, that's good enough. Now we may have to force our candle back down in there. Okay, I'm going to stick this in the freezer. I hope you saw all of that. My cake's leaning a little bit. It's alright. I'm going to get my other pieces wrapped up. My cake pieces wrapped up. Get them in the freezer. And then I'll be back and we'll roll out our fondant. Yeah, scared. Excuse me for talking with my mouth full. Now with my marshmallow fondant, I'm not going to need all of this. But as long as it stays airtight, it will keep for several days out on the counter. So I'm just going to cut off what I think we'll need. And then I'll have enough to make my other candles. You need enough just to wrap around and one to go on the top. Now I'm going to have to knead this for a while, for about 5 minutes. So I'm going to turn off the camera, spread me out a little powdered sugar, and knead it to get it back soft and pliable. And then I'll be back. Alright, I about got it to a workable state. But I love Christmas. It's one of my favorite holidays. I know this year, with the surgery and all, it's put me behind, and I'm not going to be able to do a lot of things that I like to do. I like to do a lot of baking and everything, and make a lot of homemade goodie bags and stuff, but I'm just not going to be able to this year. But that's alright. What are some of your favorite Christmas memories? I'm going to stick on the end of this video some old footage of when me and my twin was little. There won't be no sound to it because it was recorded on that little 8mm old-timey cameras, and I'd had them transferred to DVD, so it will be just memories of when me and my twin was little. And on my channel I have some of my children when they were little, of some Christmas moments with them. Put a lot of sugar down, powdered sugar, because I don't want this to stick once I get it rolled out. Some on top. And you want to roll this out fairly thin, not too thin. And when I get it rolled out, I'll be back. Okay, we want this to overlap just a little bit. Let me go get a pizza cutter and try to cut this. Should have probably done measured this. That looks good. If not, I'll put it all together and roll it back out again. Let me get the sides. Let's see. Well, I can see someone's been messing with my stuff again. So let me just measure it with a straw. We want it to overlap just a little bit. Hey, do whatever works best. Okay. Even up these sides just a little bit. Still a little tall. Let me cut just a little bit more off. I'm sure if you make this, you will be more precise than I am. I just kind of do it. And I cut it too short. That's alright. I'll just add this little strip right on in and nobody will know. This is my first one. And now just smooth it out the best that you can. You can even kind of roll it. Roll it on the table. That's why you wanted your frosting to be as smooth as you could get it too. Just kind of roll it out to make it good and as smooth as possible. And that's why you didn't want much frosting on there either. Just smooth it. See how that's gonna, yep. And don't worry about the overlap. That's why we're gonna do like the poured fondant. It's my first time ever making something like this. Okay. Yeah, and my cakes are, it's leaning a little bit, but that's alright. That is quite alright. And then our candle will stick right down in there. But before we do that, and before I whip this frosting up to make it thinner, I'm going to decorate it with my little sprinkles. And then I'll be back. And if you had like little cutters, you know, you could, little snowflakes or whatever, you could have just used the fondant. But I'm going to use my little sprinkles and just stick them on with a little bit of frosting. And I figured the confetti cake would look real pretty once you cut into it. And I'm thinking the best way to cut into it is just straight up and down. Alright, forget me using the sprinkles. That was just too painstaking to try to stick them little pieces on there. So I would suggest that you cut some bigger pieces out with your leftover fondant, let it dry out just a little bit, and then stick it on there. So with what little buttercream I have in here now, I'm just going to scrape it all down in the center and turn my mixer on, and just keep adding milk or cream until it reaches like a pourable state, but it's not separated or anything. Alright, let's turn our little candle on. Stick it down in there. I'm going to start trying to drizzle it. Just let it run down. And once I get it drizzled, I'm going to put it in the refrigerator just for a minute, just so that can set, so it won't keep running down. You can even put it, like we can even puddle it up all around the light like that too. Now, I'm going to stick this in the refrigerator for a minute, and then I'll be back. And there it is. I don't think that's bad at all for my first attempt. And you can decorate your little plate around it, put some greenery around it, and everything. So, it's a little womp-sided, but it'll be alright. So anyway, I hope you enjoy. And what's your favorite Christmas memory? Let me know, and I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas.